Welcome back to Coinvera USA, and today we're diving into our top 4 rare 1-cent coins that every collector should keep an eye on. In this special feature, we'll be exploring the fascinating details and collector value behind the Lincoln cent from 4 different years and conditions: the 1973 penny in fine condition, the 1985 penny in good condition, the 1993 penny in circulating condition, and the 1988 penny in very poor condition. Each of these coins carries its own story, history, and potential hidden value. Whether you're a beginner collector or a seasoned numismatist, these classic American pennies might surprise you with their rarity and market appeal. Let's get started and uncover what makes these everyday coins truly collectible treasures. Let's start. The 1973 United States 1-cent coin, often called the Lincoln penny, and we're focusing especially on examples found in fine condition. You might be amazed at how much attention this small copper coin is getting in today's collector's market. The 1973 1-cent coin was produced by the United States Mint during a time when America was experiencing social change and economic challenges. This coin belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. By 1973, the Lincoln penny had already become one of the most recognized coins in the world. Millions were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco facilities, making it a common coin in circulation at the time. However, as decades pass, even common coins in well-preserved condition become more desirable, especially when they show strong detail and limited wear. On the obverse, or heads, side, the coin features the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The word Liberty appears to the left, the date 1973 to the right, and the motto, "In God We Trust," arches above his head. In fine condition, you can still see clear facial features, including the outline of Lincoln's beard and bow tie, though some smoothing is visible from circulation. Turning to the reverse, or tails, side, the coin displays the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959. If you look closely at a well-preserved 1973 penny, you can often still make out the columns of the memorial, and even a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside. The inscriptions "United States of America," "E Pluribus Unum," and 1 cent remain readable and bold in fine condition examples. Culturally, this coin represents more than just 1 cent. It symbolizes American history, unity, and resilience. The image of Abraham Lincoln reflects leadership during one of the nation's most difficult periods, and carrying his portrait in daily transactions kept that legacy alive in the hands of millions of Americans. For many collectors, the 1973 penny is a nostalgic piece, reminding them of childhood savings jars, old vending machines, and the era of the early 1970s. In terms of physical details, the 1973 Lincoln cent weighs approximately 3.11 grams and is composed primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was before the major composition change in 1982, so these earlier pennies have a heavier, more solid copper feel. The diameter measures 19 millimeters, and the edge is plain. Because of its high copper content, some collectors also appreciate it for its intrinsic metal value, especially as copper prices fluctuate over time. When we talk about rarity, it's important to understand that while the 1973 penny had high mintage numbers, condition makes all the difference. In heavily circulated or poor condition, the coin may only be worth face value. However, in fine condition, where moderate wear is visible but major details remain sharp, collector demand begins to rise. Coins with strong strikes, minimal scratches, and original color can stand out significantly. Certain mint mark varieties, especially well-preserved examples from San Francisco, can attract even more attention in the market. Now let's talk about value. In today's market, a standard 1973 1-cent coin in fine condition generally trades in the range of $0.10 to $0.50, depending on eye appeal and mint mark. That may not sound dramatic, but demand continues to grow for high-quality copper cents from the pre-1982 era. In higher grades such as extremely fine or uncirculated, values can climb into several dollars. Some specially preserved or error varieties have sold for much more at auction. When converted into British currency, A fine condition example might range from around 8 pence to 40 pence. However, in promotional listings or exaggerated online claims, you may sometimes see asking prices in the hundreds of pounds, such as £200 or even £350, written as £200 or £350. While these figures create excitement and show how sellers try to highlight rare coins, realistic collector values depend heavily on verified condition and authenticity. For collectors, the key is patience and knowledge. Always examine the coin under good lighting and consider using a magnifying glass to inspect the date, mint mark, and surface quality. Storing the coin in a protective holder will help prevent further wear. It's also wise to compare your coin with certified examples to understand grading differences. Even small details like original reddish color versus dark brown toning can influence price. In a positive and high-demand perspective, the 1973 Lincoln penny in fine condition represents an affordable entry point into classic American coin collecting. It carries real history, strong symbolism, and the solid feel of traditional copper coinage. While it may not instantly turn you into a millionaire, it can certainly become a meaningful and steadily appreciating part of a growing collection. As interest in vintage U.S. coins continues to expand worldwide, even modest pieces like this one are gaining renewed attention. So before you overlook that old penny sitting in a jar or tucked away in a drawer, take a closer look. The 1973 1-cent coin proves that even the smallest denomination can hold lasting value, historical pride, and collector appeal. Stay curious, keep searching your change, and remember that every great coin collection often begins with a single cent. Number 2. The 1985 United States 1-cent coin in good condition. At first glance, it may seem like just another penny, but collectors across America are paying closer attention to certain examples of this year, especially well-preserved pieces with strong details and original shine. The 1985 1-cent coin was produced by the United States Mint during a period when modern coin production had fully shifted to a copper-plated zinc composition. Unlike older pennies that were made mostly of copper, the 1985 penny contains 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper, a change that originally began in 1982 to reduce production costs. Millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities, making them common in circulation at the time. However, as decades have passed, finding a 1985 penny in truly good condition, with clear lettering and minimal wear, has become more desirable among collectors. On the front of the coin, often called the head or obverse, you will see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This iconic design has been a part of the penny since 1909 and honors one of America's most respected presidents. The word Liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's image, the date 1985 is stamped on the right, and the national motto, "In God We Trust," arches above his head. In good condition, Lincoln's hair details, facial features, and coat lines remain visible and sharp, which significantly adds to the coin's collector appeal. Turning the coin over to the reverse, or tail side, you will find the classic Lincoln Memorial design, featuring the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This reverse design was used from 1959 to 2008 and is admired for its architectural detail. In well-preserved 1985 pennies, the columns of the memorial and even the small statue of Lincoln inside can be seen clearly. The inscriptions United States of America, 1 cent, and E pluribus unum surround the building, reinforcing the coin's identity and national pride. Culturally and historically, the 1985 penny represents a modern chapter in American coinage. While it does not date back to the early 20th century, it still reflects an era of economic change and evolving mint technology. For collectors who focus on complete Lincoln Memorial sets, the 1985 issue plays an important role. Its value is not just about age but about preservation, mint mark varieties, and overall eye appeal. In terms of specifications, the 1985 1-cent coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Its lightweight zinc core makes it different from pre-1982 copper pennies, which were heavier. This detail is important for collectors who check weight as part of authentication. A coin in good condition should not show heavy corrosion, bubbling under the copper plating, or deep scratches, as these factors can lower its collectible value. Now let's talk about rarity and value. While billions were minted, high-grade examples in good to near uncirculated condition are becoming harder to find in everyday change. Most circulated pieces are worth face value, but attractive examples in good condition can sell for around $0.25 to $1 depending on eye appeal. However, exceptional uncirculated coins or those with mint errors can reach significantly higher prices. Some rare error varieties from 1985 have been known to command prices of $50, $100, or even more in the right market. When we look at the international collector scene, certain listings have shown promotional or speculative values reaching £200 to £350, which equals 200 to 350 in numeric form, especially when sellers market them as rare or high-demand collectibles. While such figures are not standard for every coin, they demonstrate the excitement and perceived demand in parts of the market. The strong demand for well-kept Lincoln pennies continues because many collectors aim to complete date and mint sets. A bright 1985 penny with minimal wear, full detail on Lincoln's portrait, and a clean Lincoln memorial on the reverse can attract serious interest. The higher the grade, the stronger the value potential. Coins stored carefully since the 1980s often show better surfaces and luster, which increases desirability. For collectors, it is always wise to examine the mint mark under the date, check for unusual errors such as double strikes or off-center designs, and store coins in protective holders to maintain their condition. Avoid cleaning the coin, as this can damage its surface and reduce value. If you believe you have an exceptional example, professional grading can help confirm its condition and possibly increase buyer confidence. In conclusion, the 1985 United States 1-cent coin in good condition may seem simple, but it carries historical meaning, collectible appeal, and surprising value potential. Whether it is worth a few cents above face value or significantly more due to condition or rarity, this penny proves that even modern coins can spark excitement. Keep checking your change, because sometimes the smallest coin can hold the biggest opportunity. Number 3. The 1993 United States 1-cent coin, a classic Lincoln penny that many people still find in circulation today. Even in circulating condition, this small copper-colored coin holds historical meaning and collector interest that continues to grow year after year. The 1993 1-cent coin was issued by the United States Mint and is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. By 1993, the coin had already been a familiar piece of American currency for generations. These pennies were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints for regular circulation, and proof versions were produced in San Francisco for collectors. This period represents a modern era of U.S. coinage, yet it still connects directly to early 20th century traditions that began when President Lincoln first appeared on the cent. On the front of the coin, often called the head or obverse side, you'll see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. His image has been a symbol of unity, leadership, and American resilience for over a century. Above his portrait is the word liberty, along with the year, 1993, and the motto, "In God We Trust." Even in circulating condition, where light scratches and where may soften the details, Lincoln's profile remains recognizable and powerful. On the reverse, or tail side, the 1993 penny features the Lincoln Memorial design, showing the iconic structure located in Washington, D.C. If you look closely at well-preserved examples, you can even see a tiny representation of Lincoln's statue inside the memorial, a detail that collectors always appreciate. Culturally and historically, the Lincoln cent is one of the most important coins in American history. It was the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure instead of a symbolic image. By 1993, this design had already become deeply rooted in American daily life. The coin reflects not only economic activity but also the enduring respect for Abraham Lincoln's legacy. For many Americans, the penny is often the first coin they ever recognize or collect, which gives it sentimental and educational value far beyond its 1-cent face value. In terms of physical specifications, the 1993 1-cent coin weighs 2.5 grams and is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. This composition has been standard since 1982, when the mint shifted from solid copper to a more cost-effective metal blend. The coin measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter and has a smooth edge. Even in circulated condition, the coin maintains its structural integrity, although you may notice some discoloration or minor surface marks from everyday use. Now let's talk about rarity and condition. The 1993 penny was produced in very large numbers, which means it is not considered rare in standard circulated grades. However, demand for high-quality examples and error coins can push certain pieces into a much higher value category. In average circulating condition, a 1993 penny is generally worth between 1 cent and 10 cents in today's market. That means 1 to 10 cents in numeric form, depending on eye appeal and mint mark. However, uncirculated examples or coins with minting errors have sold for much higher amounts, sometimes reaching $50, $100, or even more in exceptional cases. When we convert potential collector excitement into British currency for a broader audience, some sellers list special or error versions at impressive asking prices. You might see listings claiming values of £150, £250, or even £500, which in numeric form would be £150, £250, or £500. While these higher figures are often associated with rare errors or pristine mint state examples rather than common circulated coins, they do show that there is strong interest and perceived demand in the marketplace. Key facts about the 1993 1-cent coin include its continued use of the Lincoln Memorial reverse design, its lightweight zinc core composition, and its widespread circulation across the United States. Collectors also look for mint marks such as D for Denver, while Philadelphia issues from that year typically have no mint mark. Proof coins from San Francisco carry an S mint mark and were specially struck for collectors. For collectors, the best advice is to carefully examine every 1993 penny you come across. Look for sharp details, unusual marks, doubling in the lettering, off-center strikes, or any distinctive features that make the coin stand out. Even circulated coins can be exciting if they show unique characteristics. Store your finds in protective holders to prevent further wear, and consider organizing them by mint mark and condition to build a complete set. In conclusion, the 1993 United States 1-cent coin may seem small and common at first glance, but it carries deep historical meaning and ongoing collector appeal. From the strong portrait of Abraham Lincoln to the detailed Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, this coin represents American heritage in everyday form. While most circulated examples remain close to face value, the right condition or rare feature can transform a simple penny into a sought-after collectible. Always check your change carefully, because even a modest 1993 penny could be the next exciting addition to your collection. Number 4. The 1988 United States 1-cent coin, often called the Lincoln penny, and we're focusing on an example in very poor condition. Even a worn and heavily circulated coin like this can carry history, character, and sometimes unexpected value. The 1988 1-cent coin was produced by the United States Mint during a time when the Lincoln cent had already become one of the most recognized coins in American history. The Lincoln penny series first began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. By 1988, the design had already been in circulation for decades, yet it continued to symbolize American heritage and tradition. Millions of these coins were struck at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and a smaller number at San Francisco for proof sets. On the obverse, or heads, side, you will see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Even in very poor condition, the outline of Lincoln's profile is usually still visible, although fine details like his hair and facial features may be heavily worn down. The inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date, 1988, appear around the portrait, though in a very poor coin these words may be faint or partially faded. On the reverse, or tails, side, the 1988 penny still featured the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. The Lincoln Memorial building stands proudly in the center, representing national unity and remembrance. Above it reads United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top and 1 cent boldly at the bottom. In very poor condition, The fine lines of the memorial columns are often nearly smooth, but the overall structure can still be recognized. Culturally and historically, the 1988 penny represents late 20th century America. It circulated during a time of economic growth and technological advancement. Although it may look simple, this small copper-colored coin connects generations of Americans who used it in everyday transactions. It also reflects an important transition in U.S. coinage composition. By 1988, the penny was made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating, a change that began in 1982 to reduce production costs. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams, lighter than the older solid copper cents produced before 1982. In terms of key facts, the 1988 penny has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters and a smooth edge. It was struck in large quantities, with hundreds of millions minted, which means it is not considered rare in general circulation. However, collectors still search for certain varieties, such as the 1988 and 1988D coins with design transitions involving the reverse lettering style. These subtle variations can make certain examples more desirable, especially in higher grades. Now let's talk about rarity and condition. A 1988 1-cent coin in very poor condition typically shows heavy wear, scratches, discoloration, and possibly corrosion. The date and mint mark might still be readable, but most fine design elements are worn flat. Because of its high mintage and heavy circulation, a standard 1988 penny in very poor condition usually carries only face value, which is 1 cent. In today's market, such a coin might realistically sell for around 1 cent to 5 cents, depending on buyer interest. However, in the world of coin collecting, demand can sometimes push attention towards specific errors or unique features. In rare cases where a significant mint error is discovered, values can jump dramatically into the hundreds of dollars. Some online sellers may even list special examples at prices like $250, $400, or even $750, which in British currency would be roughly £200, £320, or £600 respectively, though such high figures usually apply only to unusual or error varieties rather than ordinary worn coins. When converted to British pounds for general comparison, the standard value of 1 cent is less than 1 penny, but collector listings sometimes show optimistic prices in the hundreds of pounds for rare variations. It is always important to remember that actual selling prices depend on confirmed rarity, condition, and buyer demand. For collectors, even a penny in very poor condition can be meaningful. It can serve as a starting point for beginners, a placeholder in a collection, or a learning tool for understanding grading standards. If you come across a 1988 penny, check the mint mark under the date, examine it for unusual doubling in the lettering, and look closely at the reverse design details. Avoid cleaning the coin, as cleaning can reduce its collector value. Instead, store it in a protective holder and compare it with known varieties. In conclusion, the 1988 United States 1-cent coin may appear ordinary at first glance, especially in very poor condition, but it carries a powerful legacy tied to Abraham Lincoln and more than a century of American coinage history. While most worn examples are worth only a few cents, the excitement of coin collecting lies in the possibility of discovering something unique. High demand can arise when collectors search for specific mint errors or transitional varieties, and that is what keeps the hobby alive and thriving. So before you overlook that old penny in your change jar, take a closer look. It might just hold more value and history than you expect.